My wife is down here bothering me while I'm playing with blades. I always told her it was not a good thing. Since at this stage on this one, it's pretty much a razor. Right now I'm using the Chunagura. It's a natural stone, mine stone. It's about the third, fourth from the end. I go a little farther than some on a big stone. Right now I am working on the Mune, which is the ridge or the top of the blade, opposite the cutting edge. And of course, it rusts. I don't put any chemicals in my water, which I know a lot of people put baking soda and a lot of other things. It helps cut down on how fast it's rusting. But the rust is just super rust, it's superficial rust, and I usually wipe them down with some Choji oil after I get finished and everything. That pretty much kind of keeps it in bay till I get on it with the next stone. This is a Sukinori. This is a Showa period blade. Nothing fancy about it. I bought it cheap. Whoever the Japanese polisher was during World War II evidently had not much training, because the Shinogi G line, everything was rounded over. You might as well have took it to an 80 grit wheel and just rounded everything over. Everything was obscure. Brass, Habaki, no Suka, no Seiya, just a rough blade that nobody probably in their right mind would have ever tackled. But dummy me, I'll tackle anything other than a real expensive blade, and then I will let the true masters of this art take over. But I do a pretty good job. 7 years as a tool and die maker and Supreme Master Gem Cutter. I know angles. I got my library of Smiths. And I've talked to enough professional polishers to know what not to touch and what they're not willing to touch because of their time constraints and the value of their polish. But this right here, it's just it's in pretty good shape now. It's got one little tiny nick I just chose not to remove because I had to remove a lot of steel, and you can't put the steel back on, and that little tiny nick's not going to keep it from doing its purpose, which is hacking and chopping if that's what it needs to do. Don't know the metal. I'll know more about it when I get to a point where I can see graining or folding, if there is any. May have Muji Hata, who knows. But it does have an undulating Hammond that looks kind of neat. I dipped it in apple cider vinegar when I roughed it out just to see if I was wasting my time completely or not. But no, these are all natural stones. Probably about 3 or 4 more years of this and I'll be giving it up, because it's pretty labor intensive on your shoulders and your wrists. And I'm almost 58, so been doing it about 13 years. But it has been sitting around for about 10 years, and I guess these blades that you don't really love take the back burner, and this is taking the back burner over and over again, so finally I got tired of looking at it. Made a Seiya and a Suka for it. It's a good cutter. It's very well balanced. I think it will it'll cut well. It's probably about the right length, about 26.5 inch Nagasa. Other than that, it's fairly healthy. It's not something I want in my collection unless I was wanting to chop stuff with it. But Michelle wanted to do a little video on this because I am getting back into this. Excuse, I've been working all day, but I'm getting back into it. I got probably about 15 to 18 blades that are worthy of polish, so I got to get my hands and eyes and stones back acclimated to good work. So I figured, well, no sense jumping back in on a 250-year-old blade. I'd jump in on one of these 75-year-old blades. It was not the best I've executed, but that's still, the Smith did a good job. He's fairly low ranked, but his stuff worked. But thank the Lord my dad built me this bench, because the old traditional way of doing it, you wouldn't have been able to crawl me up off the floor after I worked for an hour on these things. So
Yeah, you can see the original platform on the bottom.
yeah, this was my original. This is what the actual my other pieces were sitting on. Your little hold down where you place your foot, and then this right here rests on the butt of your base of your stone, and then your cross leg, and you put your foot pressure on this, which holds pressure on that. Kind of, I mean, it works, and I did it for over a year that way, but I was like, God, there's got to be a better way, especially for us old Westerners who are not as limber as maybe our Asian brothers. So it's fun, it's labor, it's hard work, but you get down here and you can't watch anything, so you can listen to some music or listen to scripture or something like that to pass your time. But you better keep your eye on what you're doing. If not, you'll be bringing back a nub, and if it goes to fall, let it fall. At this point in the game, this one right here is sharp. It will definitely, if it goes to fall and you grab it, you'll be breaking up the super glue to glue your fingers together. And I was showing Rochelle, I have just gone over this place, and you can see the rust is already set in. It is a beautiful amber color. And in less than 10 minutes ago, that right there was bright and shiny.
Now, what grit or what stone are you using?
This is Chunagura. The next one will be Koma Nagura. Then you go from Koma Nagura to Uchimagura. And you've got several different, you got Sutado, Jito, you've got 3 or 4 hardnesses of Uchimagura. Uchimagura is you're getting to your final. The finger stones, the Hato, that is pretty much Uchimagura that didn't make the size to make a bench stone, and you just break it into thin layers because it is a sedimentary rock. But you have to choose it wisely so it doesn't have any grit that will ruin your job and cause scratches. But probably 2.5, 3 hours on the Koma Nagura, or a little longer. That takes a while because you're really getting into all your fine lines and making sure that all your previous scratches are gone, because the next is Uchimagura, and then you're just going to be thinning it out and just cleaning it and cleaning it and cleaning it until you start seeing Hada and Haman. But you'll see Haman on the next stone. This one I can see a little bit, but not enough to where you would see it. But that's about it. Rochelle will probably take up next time I jump on this thing with the next stone, and I'll have to dress my next stone and get ready. My next stone is an original stone that I bought probably 12 years ago, and I paid about $450 for it back then, and Namikama does not even offer that stone any longer. The Koma Nagura in a large size like that I got, they're probably pushing $1,500, $2,000 now. But I do like the natural stones over the synthetics. I get a better job and it doesn't load up as bad. But that's about it for today. I think I've had enough. This one right here, I've already done both sides. I did well one side on the Ha and the G on both sides, and the Mune with this particular stone. But it was in pretty good shape. So it'll be a good blade when it's done. It'll be a good cutter. It would be one that I wouldn't be afraid to go into battle with. So that's it for me.
And if we have any questions, just post your questions at the bottom of the video. And I know we've had people ask about Dana's stones, so that's what I'm trying to do, is get Dana to explain a little bit about the stones. And then if you have any questions, we'll try to answer them as we go along. So thanks for watching.
And I definitely want to stress, anything that I feel like is a national treasure, or anything close to a 30-point Smith or anything, I consult people that are professional, that do this for a living and have had formal training. But I have polished probably 50 blades, and I have entered them in and have had professional polishers look at them, and they said I did not do any harm to them whatsoever, and they thought it was very acceptable. And I've sent some into Japan that were polished, and they come back with good points. So I'm not doing anything to destroy them. So I know there's a lot of purists out there that think that no one but a Eastern trained polisher should touch a blade, but that's just not reality. There's a lot of these blades that would never ever be brought back to any form of reasonable restoration if it weren't for people that had $3,000 worth of books and probably $5,000 worth of stones and tons of hours studying to make sure we didn't mess up. So, you know, I mean, I know that I'm going to get criticism just like I've gotten criticism from polishers of stones and things of that nature, but I don't let that worry me, because I know I'm not going to do the smith any injustice in what I do to his blade. Actually, probably thankful that I did do what I did, otherwise it would be thrown into obscurity to rust up and never know it ever existed. So I had to make that little statement that, one, you people that want to learn to polish, do your homework, buy the books, go see them, hold them, look at them, and when you grab a hold of one of these pieces of steel, think about the smith that forged it and all the hours that they spent. Don't put it in vain, and you can't take it. Once you take it off, you can't put it back on. So I am a minimalist, and like this one, you couldn't even see a line on it. It just looked like a chunk of steel that somebody had just ground the crap out of. So it's 100 times better than it ever was since I've seen it. So I don't feel bad about it at all what I'm doing. But that is something that is brought up on many forums, and it's just one of those things. Most of the time, the ones that scream the loudest have never had a sword and a stone in their hand, and they don't know what it's like to do it. So with that being said, I'll bid you adieu and have a good evening.